We're joined again this morning here on Jersey Magazine by Mike Ham from Greetings from the Garden State. Mike, you have something really, really interesting coming up topically this week. Tell our listeners about
Yeah,
it.
Jim, great to hear you. Great to see you. We're talking on Tuesday with Denise Rue, who is the head of the New Jersey Psychedelic Therapist Association. And their main purpose really right now is helping push through legislation to make psilocybin, or AKA magic mushrooms, uh, legislation through Congress to make it accessible for therapists to use with their patients. And I didn't really know much about it, obviously, except for, kind of the extreme versions of stuff like that. And then I've been told as a kid, like, stay away from it and all that. But knowing some veterans with PTSD, knowing some people that experience some extreme trauma that have done, sessions with magic mushrooms and psilocybin and retreats and different things like that, and knowing how much it worked for them, I was interested to kind of like learn a little bit more about that topic. And Denise was awesome, very knowledgeable, obviously, and kind of took me through all the stuff that's going on, some of the roadblocks, some of the things that they're working on, and how long this process has been, and how long most likely it'll continue to be once the legislation's passed.
You mentioned legislation, and I want to point out that it's bilateral. It's both
Yeah,
parties, and that's kind of hard to do politically these
yeah, it
days.
really is. And then I mean, I think that's the thing because, obviously there's always going to be the stigma and stuff around something like this. And, we obviously cannabis in Jersey has kind of gone through its almost rebirth here. Or it's really its birth because it was just made legal a few years ago. But, now something like this, obviously it is I forget the exact classification of it, but it is a drug that people have a lot of preconceived notions about, and being able to kind of work through those things I think is important. And it's, you have support from both sides of the aisle that see the benefits for it, but then you also kind of have a little bit of some roadblocks there, just making sure that everyone's educated on the topic and not just making rash decisions.
I think part of that is the perception. You hear psilocybin, you think psychedelics, you think mind altering.
Yeah,
LSD comes up. And I
right.
think it's important to note that LSD is synthetic, but something like psilocybin is natural. It
Yeah.
grows, like a plant in the desert, much like peyote does. And psilocybin and peyote have been used for thousands and thousands of years by Native American tribes and others, going back again centuries.
Yeah, a good friend of mine who actually introduced me to Denise, he's also a licensed social worker, but he's a former Green Beret, and he came back with a good deal of PTSD and did a couple retreats. I forget where he went, maybe Costa Rica or something. And used psilocybin in kind of those controlled environments with people that know what they're doing and know how to help you through that experience. And he said it totally changed his life and put him on track for the better. And like you said, it's natural, it's nothing crazy, and people have been using it for thousands of years. And it's just a matter of, like we said, getting over the stigma, understanding what the facts are, knowing what the research says, and then putting it in the hands once it is legalized to people that actually know how to use it responsibly and be able to convey that to their patients responsibly.
And I also want to point out, you mentioned PTSD. It's also considered being used for depression and alcoholism as well.
Yes. Yeah, I actually was watching. I think it was a podcast, and Ron White, the famous stand-up comedian, who infamously sort of has a drinking problem, and he said he tried so many different alcohol rehabilitation centers and different things like that, and then tried one retreat like this using something like these substances that we're talking about, and he hasn't had a drink since. And I think certain things like that, it's those, I mean, those are anecdotal stories, obviously. I mean, there is ample research that kind of backs up the stuff that we're talking about. But, there's so many uses for it. And, a lot of the stuff the patients that Denise works specifically are people that have experienced extreme trauma or, PTSD or different things like that. So that's kind of why that's where her focus is. But like you said, there's so many opportunities to use that to help people. And that's really what it's all about.
And local football fans may remember that a little over a year ago, Aaron Rodgers was talking about going on a retreat.
Yeah.
I think the drug that he was using was ayahuasca. And again,
Ayahuasca. Yeah.
it was supervised, but another plant-based as opposed to a synthetic drug.
Sure.
Much like LSD, which I mean, the CIA and the United States Army were using that back, what, in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
testing it out on people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Aaron Rodgers thing, and you know, I brought up how when he was doing that, everyone was like, "Oh my God, this guy's crazy," you know, and then she kind of balked at that, and she's like, "No, I mean, that's people do that. It's not that uncommon, you know, and it's definitely something that you use to kind of get more in touch with different parts of your brain that don't always work, I guess. But you know, it was really interesting, and I'm really excited to kind of share that with everyone on Tuesday, because it was something that I knew nothing about. And those are my favorite kind of episodes, something that I don't know anything about, and I get to learn about it over the course of that conversation.
And you also have something else new coming this week on Greetings from the Garden State. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, so it is called Radio Garden State, and essentially what it is a 24/7 internet stream where we are playing mostly or all music and shows that are created by people here in New Jersey. So all the stuff that we do at Greetings from the Garden State obviously revolves around stuff here in the state. We've met a lot of really great people that either host shows, podcasts, stuff like that, and artists that also, you know, create awesome music. And we talked about Jersey Fest a while back. You know, we're going to work on some unplugged sessions where we do some acoustic sets at different places around the state. You know, we're just trying to help amplify as many voices as we can and show people how creative people from Jersey actually are. I mean, obviously everyone knows like the big ones. You know, they know Bruce, they know Frank, they know Whitney, they know John, they know all those. But there is such a talent pool here of people, like I said, that run shows, that make music that people need to hear about. And we have so many things that we're kind of working on with that right now. You know, including the live events, including, you know, different merch and working with some different artists on getting those t-shirts created and different things like that. So yeah, we're really excited about it right now. You know, the previous week at the time of this recording, this week when we launched it, it just kind of working out some bugs and some different things, but everyone seems to be really excited about it, particularly the artists, because there's a lot of streaming platforms that don't treat them very well, and we're trying to give them a platform where they can kind of reach as many people as possible.
And you can check all of this out online at greetingsfromthegardenstate.com. Mike Ham, thank you very much again for your time. And this looks like a really good show this week. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.